Welcome to Test True, your go-to hub for professional knowledge sharing. In this video, I will walk you through the basics of APIs. Let us start by asking a very simple question. What are APIs? API stands for Application Programming Interface. The term interface is key here. An interface serves as a bridge, allowing the different entities to work together by establishing a common set of rules or a protocol for interactions. So the two entities can be two software programs or the two applications. So the interface serves as a bridge to communicate two applications or the two different programs together by establishing or by setting up a kind of contract or a protocol or a set of rules for the communication to between them. Let us understand the interface by giving some real world examples. Have you heard about HDMI? HDMI is an interface that allows the audio and video source devices such as DVD players, the gaming devices, or or it can be a laptop to connect to your monitors or an televisions to display the video contents. Okay. Regardless of each device internal operation, HDMI standard ensures the compatibility across all the devices by maintaining the uniform connector size, pin configuration and data formats for audio and video. What I meant to say here, the each device basically operates differently, right? For example, the laptop is meant for doing the programming, the Blu-ray player is meant for playing the Blu-ray disc. Regardless the internal operations of these devices, HDMI basically uh, provides a standards for an audio and video, so that the connecting devices like monitors or connecting devices like monitors um, or your televisions can seamlessly display the content out from these devices, right? So basically HDMI basically here acts as an interface. HDMI standards defines the size for the pin configuration, the data formats for audio and video. Okay, this shared interface basically allows the diverse devices to seamlessly communicate with the monitor, ensuring the consistent and effective transmission of outputs. So the primary purpose of an API is to enable the two software systems, two software programs or two software applications to communicate with each other regardless of their underlying architecture or underlying technology or underlying the functionalities. API allows the application devices slash the data sources to work together in a seamless manner, enabling the creation of more complex and interconnected systems. So when we expanded the API, we told that API is application programming interface. So we understood what is an interface. So this interface basically allows the two application to interact each other programmatically. So the so the APIs can be easily called via the programs that is written in an application that allows the two applications to communicate with each other. Let us explain an API through a simple restaurant analogy. When you go to a restaurant, you don't go into the kitchen directly to prepare your meal. Instead, you select your dish from the menu, and the restaurant staff takes care of taking an order and bringing the food when it is finished. Here, the restaurant staff acts as a bridge between you and chef. Similarly, an API allows the user or a computer program to request a needed service or a data from another applications without needing to know how these requests are handled internally. This presentation clearly illustrates the working of API with a help of restaurant analogy. Let's explain an API with an real world example. Have you ever wondered how your mobile weather application provides accurate weather updates even though your mobile phone does not collect, collect the weather data directly from satellites? Here, your mobile application retrieves the weather information from a server which sources the weather data from meteorological department. When you try to check the weather from your mobile application sends a request via an API to a server which then supplies the necessary data to your application giving you the latest weather conditions. The working of mobile app is illustrated in this diagram. Here, API acts as an interface to the data from server. Note that APIs are intended for use by programs and developers, not for directly interaction by the end users. They typically lack a user-friendly interface. That is why the name application programming interface. That means the applications can call the APIs via the programming. Key terminologies used in APIs. The first one is a client or a service consumer. The client is the one which basically requests for a service. In case of a restaurant menu, this would be you placing an order. Okay. In context of the mobile application, it's a mobile application itself asking for a weather data for a given location for a given time, right? For a given time. The service provider or a server, it's a basically an entity that responds to your request. Service providers are the one who has a set of functionalities or services to offer. Example can be a web server. In case of a restaurant, this could be a chef who is preparing your order. In case of a mobile application, this is a server that collects the data from the weather department and sends the data back to the mobile application. Request is the way how the client uh, communicates with an API to perform a certain action. In case of restaurant, you are specifying the type of your meal. For example, if you're ordering a burger, you're specifying what kind of bread to be used, what kind of salads that needs to be filled, what kind of cheeses, whether it is an extra cheese or things like that. Right? Basically, specifying what services that you are basically requesting. Response is the data that is sent back or the services that is sent back from the API once or an after processing your request. It is basically like receiving your order once it is prepared. But in some cases, you will also get an updates or the notification telling that there is a delay in preparing your food. That can also be considered as a response. Let us talk about the types of APIs and their means of communication. The table basically says what are the different types of APIs we have and what are the protocols that is being used for the communication. The first one is a web API. As the name indicates, it's an API over the web. These are the interfaces for web services that allows the application to interact over the internet. The protocols used here are HTTP or secured HTTP. Some of the examples could be REST APIs, GraphQL APIs. The the weather-based application that we talked about earlier in this session is a good example for web APIs. The use cases can be accessing a data from the different systems. Example from the web services, integrating with third-party platforms, fetching the online resources. The local API is a set of APIs that are available within the system itself. If you, for example, if you consider our laptop or an our desktop, there is an hardware, and upon which there is an operating system, and upon which there is an application layer. If the user or an application layer wants to communicate with the hardware, then there are a lot of APIs that are provided by the operating system uh, that helps you to communicate from the application layer into the hardware layer. Some example could be creating a file uh, in a file system, the create file APIs. These are some of the examples. As the description indicates, the API is used within a single device or a system to interact with the local software or an hardware component. The communications protocol used here is an inter-process communication, which we, in a short form, we call it as an IPC. Examples could be Windows APIs, POSIX APIs. These are the system level APIs that performs the system level operations, interacting with local hardware, managing the application resources, etc., etc. The remote APIs are the APIs that enables a communication between many systems over a network. They often spread across the different locations. Good example could be our Google Cloud or an Azure Cloud or any AWS Cloud. They in turn use HTTP or an HTTPS as a communication protocol. Along with that, they also use TCP/IP as a communication protocol. Some of the examples could be SOAP API, which is a simple object access protocol, or the PRC, which is a remote procedure call APIs. As I already told, the cloud services, remote data access, inter-service communication in a distributed systems are an example for remote APIs. Coming back to the final API, which is called as a library API. The APIs are provided by software development kit or in software libraries, which has got to perform a certain kind of an functionalities for the developers. In a simple terms, we can say that these are the normal the functions. Okay, the C plus functions that is exposed by this software development kit to perform a certain operations. And protocols used is depends on the libraries. Some of the examples could be jQuery APIs, TensorFlow APIs. Yeah. Using these APIs, you can build a nice user interfaces. For example, there are in Python there are a set of libraries that offers data science. The library that offers a lot of operations that we can do with the data sets. This really brings an end of this session. This is about some basics concepts about API. Thank you for watching. Web service and web APIs. Web service is an online resource that offers specific functionalities. Example, the weather service, the geolocation service, the payment service, currency conversion services. These are some of the examples. It basically enables different applications to communicate and share information by adhering to the standard protocols and formats, thereby ensuring the seamless interaction between these diverse systems. Let us consider an example of a uh, parking application, which basically uses geolocation service to identify the exact location of the parking and thereby calculate the payment fees, parking fees, right? Yeah. So web API, on the other hand, web API is kind of an API which uses web as an communication medium. That means all the communication that happens over a web, over an internet. It specifies how the request and response should be formatted, allowing the application to interact with each other. For example, a weather app might use a web API to retrieve weather data from online services. This brings to end of the course, the basics of API. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel.